this is Ben from TechnoDo Tutorials showing you Arch Linux and how to install it. Arch Linux is one of the best lightweight distributions because it doesn't come with everything. And that might be not so good for an end user. Like it doesn't come with Firefox, OpenShot, VLC, Kdenlive, whatever you need it to come with. And I just want to apologize for the lack of videos lately. So I'm going to show you an easy way to install it. It's called Architect Linux. And I know there's those Arch nerds who are like, oh, well, that's not the real way of installing it. I mean, these people just gotta move on with their lives. I mean, it's a way of installing it, and I like it, so what's the problem? Like, it's not real Arch Linux, but the great thing about Arch Linux is that, first of all, it's very customizable, and second of all, very lightweight. Third of all, it has excellent documentation, and when I say excellent, I mean excellent. So I'll walk you through the installer here. Give it a minute. So I'm going to go stable. You can go with development, but development's probably the unstable branch. I like English, whatever language you speak. I don't know. So let's see here. So now it's just updating, and this might all look complex, but it's not that hard. If you have Wi-Fi, it should detect that, and it should install it. So the best, you just gotta set a virtual console. Since I'm in the US, I set US. It's pretty easy. Like automatic partitioning because I don't want encrypted volumes. Then I just mount this. So the root would be your biggest partition. No, I messed up. The root would be your biggest partition. You want that probably extension 4 or ext4 for short. Now this video is geared towards more advanced users who might not, just notice I clicked swap file there, but, because I don't have a swap partition, but this is geared towards more advanced users who want to install Arch Linux easily. For my boot partition, it says right here, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor. Oh, crap. No. It says ext4 is recommended, like near the top here. You see that? So I'm going to use ext4. Yes. So specify partition mount point. So I'll just keep that default, unless I can't. Specify partition / boot, because that's our boot partition. Just keep that all blank. Okay, now I'm going to install the base. I'll just generate a mirror list since I'm in the US. In case you don't know how I got all the way down to the U, you just push the U on the keyboard. Then I'm going to run rank mirrors, which will find us the fastest server, which will speed up the install in general. I mean, I have pretty fast internet speed, but for you others that don't. So it'll find the fastest servers, and I just wanted to, while it's doing this, I wanted to talk about the AUR, shortened for the Arch Users Repository. If there's any software that you need that is developed for Linux, it will be in the AUR. I've never seen a package that I wanted that wasn't in there, except VMware. There was one package that I didn't see in there for workstation. So it sort of gives you a step-by-step guide in this tutorial, in this ISO. So like that. I know the video's not that great. Sorry. But anyway, about the AUR, it has almost everything. Like, if, here, I'm running a Manjaro distribution, which is based on top of Arch, if you guys don't know. It's more like Arch for the total noob. Like, say I want Skype. It's in here. It'll first search the, regular repository, and then if it's on there, you'll see an AUR. You will see a familiar interface like this when I get into after it's installed. Let's see. How many minutes do I got on here? 5 minutes. Wow. And look how far we are already. Almost done the base install. And that's just like, if you guys are unsure about the Linux kernel, it is basically the communication between the hardware, like your graphics card, and your CPU, and other stuff that you need to run properly. And that'll make sure it's all compatible. And another thing I was talking about is I couldn't get this Logitech camera to get supported. I know for a fact that Linux does not get supported, that this camera does not support Linux, but I got it to work anyway. I just searched Logitech, Quick Corn Cam Orbit AF, and then I searched Arch. Whenever you say Arch at the end of it, there's always going to be an Arch wiki link right here at the top usually. Like, look, if I pull up Logitech's official webpage, they only have Windows, just Windows. So I go into here and search Logitech Quick Cam Orbit AF, and I found out it was under the Linux UVC driver. And I am not going to exactly explain how to probe this, but what I did is I didn't know how to do it, so I just Googled UVC, how to load UVC at startup, Arch. And Arch refuses to unload, so I just followed this guy's steps. There's a lot of documentation. So I placed a file in here that's called UVC with a single line and this line, and now my camera is working gloriously. You know, same thing, I've looked on Spatry's channel. Great guy, you should check him out. I don't like him because he doesn't do any more tutorials anymore. It's my own opinion. Okay, for this, I like, if you're doing a dual boot, well, I don't know how partitioning on a dual boot works, but I just like the Grub. So, Grub's a great bootloader used on my system. Linux is not well supported, I'd say, so, okay. Now we get to naming our computer. I'm gonna call this Techno Dude, because why not? Set system locale, and this is just setting where you are. So I am I speak English, and I am in the US, so it's language then that. So I'm in America, and I'm near Nueva York, New York. So set time zone. UTC is great, use UTC. Set a root password. I'm just going to do a crappy one, but you should do a really strong one. So we'll call this Techno. Techno. Make sure you don't have a slash or any spaces. Oh, it's got to be lowercase, that's why. So you should have a much secure password on your Linux system. That's my opinion. I'm just doing this because it's in a virtualized environment under a NAT network adapter. so it can't get to me. I'd leave all of these default. Make sure you definitely have the synaptics, which should be enabled by default, selected if you have a touchpad, because you do need those drivers. So, you see it's pretty quick. I mean, just running all this stuff. I mean, this is customizable, and that's why it's a little bit of a slow processor. So, see right here, it'll auto-detect your driver. So, yes, I'm in VirtualBox. How did you know? Uh, so I'm in VirtualBox guest, so that's what I want. It'll give you some crap saying it might not load the first time, but never had a problem with it. So, let's see here. Come on. Sometimes this installation's like watching paint dry. It's usually faster on a regular system. This is like 2 gigabytes and I think 1 CPU. Okay, now there's a graphical environment. I like Cinnamon for beginners, but that is my total opinion. Cinnamon's great. It looks like Windows a little bit. XFCE is a little more customizable, so is Mate. Cinnamon, Gnome Shell or Gnome is good for KDE is also great for also known as Plasma. They're great for just like customizing every inch, but Cinnamon is good enough for me for right now, which will sort of give you like a Windows experience a little bit. I mean, this is XFCE, but I had to customize it, so it's not out of the box looking like Windows, so just want to tell you guys that. So as you see, we're churning through the install here. Ears get a little sore from these headphones sometimes. So as you see, it's just finishing. Nice thing. They don't give you. It's sort of like a text-based status bar with the hashtag or the pound sign, whatever you want to call it. That's why I gotta click. Usually your mouse will be inside this, and I assume that you're installing this on actual hardware. I had a hard time installing it, and I had to borrow someone else's computer doing this the first time. So, I would recommend. Sorry, I'm just a little congested. But I would recommend installing this inside virtual machine, and if you don't know how to do it, I'm sure there's lots of videos on YouTube to do it. So, desktop environment key map. It's probably US. Yep. So that's the keyboard. You know, this thing, because keyboards in different countries have different layouts. So, yeah. So, if you have a laptop, number 1 is important. It'll tell you what you need. I recommend installing UFW, GUFW, and NTP, which is a firewall and a time server. Comes to Network Manager, use Network Manager. Wicked is too outdated and not great. I recommend installing Samba. It allows you to communicate with Windows file shares and Windows printers. So, good idea. So, installing multimedia support, I usually just go this. Click like everything in the list except the XFCE plugin. And when it comes to GUI, just click PavView control, because that's a great error. Failed to install packages to new root. Okay. Install multimedia. I also want to install the codecs, because they updated that, because it used to be a long list. But see, now that'll install all your multimedia codecs like MP3, MP4, you know, the formats. Install custom packages. I recommend installing VLC. What else? evolution. VLC is a video viewer. I'm also using it as a camera recorder, like in the corner. But VLC, evolution. What else? I'm not gonna install Steam now, but so we're almost done. You know, it's amazing, gang. We're almost done. Let's see. 15 minutes into the video. So I just recommend 20 megabytes or something like that. Choose whatever you want. I choose something different every time. I don't know why, but just use the defaults. Okay, now when it comes to configuration, I just like to edit the sudoers file. This is a personal preference because if you have multiple users using a computer, you need this. Okay, so this should be good. Let's see here. You can also do what I'm doing. And also, since, what is my name? Techno. I want to give myself administrative privileges, so I just copy this. But keep in mind, it will probably prompt you for your password. Actually, when it comes to this, I would leave this hashtagged, because, shoot, no. Wait, shoot, I gotta do this over again, but, I'll just show you. Forget what I showed you before, just follow this. So, I got techno all. Do not uncomment without password, because if a virus gets in your system, see, the thing I like about Linux is it's very hardened and secure. And I'm just gonna show you, well, anyway, and I think there's not a lot of known viruses. Let's do a Google search. Linux known viruses. I bet it's not a lot. Let's see here. See also, maybe? No, I'm just gonna look at a different link, but Linux doesn't have a lot of viruses. How many known Linux viruses are there? That's what I want to know. None currently in the wild, because usually the Linux kernel, which I was talking about earlier, fixes all this. And since Arch is very up to date, another thing I'd recommend do is keep the testing repositories checked, but I would recommend undoing these multilib repositories because they have a lot of great software that you're going to need. If it's not in there, it's in the AUR. Okay, time for reboot. Let's see if I screwed this up, which is not very likely. So, I am going to boot from existing OS, Arch Linux. So now you can remove your disk or USB stick. And if you need to know how to make a USB stick, and another thing, see, the VirtualBox drivers are already included, so I can just log in. Oh, where was I saying? Oh yeah, so if you want to know how to make a USB, just go to Universal USB installer. If you make a Google search for this, there's a lot of YouTube videos, so I might not make one, but anyway. So first thing I want to do is open, oh crap, there's no Firefox. So I'll have to go to a terminal. Wait, what am I doing? Ugh. Shoot. Another thing I don't like is when I choose GDM, which is this start screen to log in, it defaults me to the GNOME basic desktop, but I want Cinnamon, so I gotta click that little gear. I always forget about that for some reason. Oh, wrong password. Why did it just do that again? Linux, right? Once you choose cinnamon, it should automatically default to that. Afterwards, you'll see it says it's running in some mode. So I'll just run a terminal. Sudo pacman-s. Oh, another thing is, I'll show you here, but usually you can click on your network manager, click connect to a network and all that if you're on a laptop. I'm just going to install Firefox quickly. Oh, shoot. SY. Yeah, that should do it. So you just type in pacman -sy, capital S, make sure it's a capital S, lowercase y, Firefox. You should have typed in Firefox, where I typed in VLC, if you remember earlier. Okay, now that I got Firefox, I'm going to go to Google and type in Yowert, which stands for another Arch user repository tool or something like that. And if I go to Yowert here, it'll say, how do I get it? This is how you get it. So basically what you do is you copy the code. It's pretty self-explanatory. When you enter the terminal, which I'll just do a search for, you type in sudo su, which types you into the administrator's account. Because you do have administrator privileges, you just don't always need to use them. Okay, since the virtual machine's just screwing with me. I'm just gonna do sudo pacman-s gnome-terminal, because I do not like this terminal. And software, I mean, this might be all hardcore for the non-new user, but for me, it's pretty package build. Git clone. Oh, sudo pacman-s git. So you need to install git or jit, whatever you want to call it. Some people say, oh, it's git. Some people say, oh, it's jit. I don't care, you know. It is what it is. Oh, I gotta elevate my privileges so I'm administrator. So type in sudo su again. So, yeah. I don't know why. Oh, that's why. CD. So I gotta go to home first. Wait, CD ben. CD techno. So I gotta be in my home folder to do this. So then you click yes. It's pretty self-explanatory. Forget what I said about that sudo su. Just forget about it. Yes. Okay, so now I type in Yowert Pamac Manager. Crap. Come on. LS. What did I do wrong? Where the heck? Oh. So I'm gonna just see another thing is, you see this is the source code because it was not compiled. So apparently it didn't copy this Yowert line for some reason. Don't know why. Should have. Yes, I want to install Yowert. Automatically. Yes, okay. Yowert. Pamac. I search just Yowert Pamac. See, it says AUR right here. That stands for Arch Users Repository, which I was talking about. Type in number 1. It'll ask you, do you want to edit the package build? No. Do you want to edit the installer? No. I don't want to change it. I just want to install it. So, this is probably a little hardcore for a beginner, but Manjaro is better, so when it comes to beginner users, so I wish I had a Manjaro install. Arch install. I just don't always have the time. Okay, now if I type in Pamac, so it'll see you can update from here. Pamac. But since it's a network installer, it's all up to date, which is a nice thing. Okay, now I'm going to go to Preferences. Another thing is if you download pacman from the Arch users repository, it will need Yowert, which was yet another software user. I would recommend enabling AUR and all of its dependencies. Say I need Google, Chrome. Will this pop up in the Ubuntu Software Center? Probably not. Say I want Audacity, which is a fantastic audio editor. I would first search the repositories and then the AUR, because just search because they say sometimes they're not stable. Usually they're stable, but just in case. Kden Live. Spotify. What else? GIMP. I'm just gonna install GIMP for an example, but which is sort of like Photoshop. It's called the GNU Image Manipulation Program. But, just want to show you it's not that hard to install a program once you got it all running. What else? So if I search MS Fonts, it'll come up. Everything comes up. If you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to comment or go to the Arch Wiki, because it is really freaking amazing. Thank you for watching Techno Do Tutorials. Have a wonderful day.